Hey everybody, this is Tom from DLD Drum School. Welcome back again. We're making excellent progress here. So what is the purpose of this video? Well, we're going to take the standard 4 rhythms that we've learned so far, rhythms 1, 2, 3 and 4, you can see on the screen there. And we're just going to add some simple variety to the positions of our hands. There's going to be loads of experimentation here, loads of trial and error, loads of things that you're going to like and not like. But it's going to show you how, with just a little bit of effort and imagination, we can really change the feel and the dynamic of our drumming. So I'm going to work with rhythm number 2. It's our old friend, bass and snare and bass, bass, snare and. And just as an experiment, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to say, right, well, I don't need to play on the hi-hat. I'm going to take the right hand to the floor tom, to the low tom. You know how we played on the ride cymbal? Let me show you that just in case you haven't seen this before. Same rhythm on the ride. And now, who's to say that I don't take the right hand and drop it down to the floor tom? It's going to give it a totally different feel, almost like a kind of thundering, rolling feel. Exactly the same rhythm. I'm just I'm on the ride tom now instead of on the ride cymbal. And just that small change completely changes the style and the feel of the drumming. So this idea of our golden rule number 3, make sure the drumming fits in with whatever it is that you're doing. These small variations, it's amazing how much change you can add with just that little bit of imagination. So what about the left hand? We always seem to play the left hand on the snare drum every single time. Why is that? Well, because usually it sounds best, but we can change this and again add some variety. So I'm going to go back to the right hand on the hi-hat, and with my left hand I'm going to do the first offbeat, beat number 2 on the snare. And then for the next beat, I'm going to go onto the high tom. Now be careful with this one. You've got to kind of create a little bit of an archway with the right hand so you can get underneath. But a little bit of variety on that left hand snare, something like this. Nice and simple. Let's think of another idea. Let's put the right hand on the back to the low tom. And let's have the left hand playing what would have been the snare drums on beats 2 and 4. We're going to alternate across tom 1 and tom 2. Maybe back to the snare. And it may look and sound and feel like it's a completely different rhythm, but remember, the only thing I'm playing over and over and over again is rhythm number 2. I'm just changing the positions of my hands. Now, this idea of golden rule number 3, which is to make sure that our drumming fits in, this really becomes the most important rule as time goes on. And I want you to keep remembering the idea of listening to the music, listening to the drums and making musical decisions about what's going to fit in best. I always talk about cooking food. If you're cooking food, you taste it. And if you think, well, it needs a bit more salt, well, then you add a bit more salt. If it needs a bit more spice, you add a bit more spice. But there's no guessing. You have to taste the food and then make a musical decision. So in the same way, I want you to now start to experiment and listen to the drumming and ask yourself, what could I change? Just a small change to add a little bit of spice, if you like, to my drumming. So for my ears, when I'm doing this low tom, and I went to this, I went bass and snare and then bass, bass, single tom, I can kind of feel I want to do a double tom here. So I'm going to give that a go. On the screen here, bass and snare and bass, bass, tom, tom. And I'm going to use that high tom. A little bit faster. That little bit of variety, can you see how it just use your imagination? There's so many different alternatives that you can come up with that's going to really add character and feeling and expression to your drumming. So as always, I want you to now think about how do you put this to real life. It's one thing playing away, you know, in your own privacy. Try to open this up now to the real world of backing tracks and playing in live situations. So in practice mode, remember, always go slow, make loads and loads of mistakes, focus on accuracy. As you do this, just like with food, there'll be certain things that you don't really like, in which case, fine, just don't do those again. There'll be other things, maybe by mistake, and you'll say, wow, you know, I really like that. In which case, write it down, make a note of it, and remember to do that in future. Going into performance mode, as always, build up with a tempo, make sure you lock in and keep in time, golden rule number 1, and then bring out the other golden rules. So start to play with expression and feeling, start to play with confidence, and see if you can apply this to real life situations to your favorite backing tracks. So again, thank you so much for listening. Please do remember to give us a like and a subscribe. It really is appreciated. Keep on practicing, keep on having fun with your drums, and remember, everything you do, do it like a drummer. We'll see you in the next video.